many of you can feel the exciting energy of transformation in and around you right now? Yes? And how many of you would like to co-create the better, freer, more peaceful world for you and the children? Yes? All right. Great. That's what we're going to be talking about today. My name is David James Rodriguez. I'm so honored and excited to be with you because you guys are the chosen ones, if you guys haven't realized that yet. You guys are the visionaries on the earth, so it's going to be a very exciting talk. The title today is The Voluntary Way, a New Paradigm of Freedom. And by the end of today's talk, you will learn what is the voluntary way and why I believe it is the future of humanity. You're going to learn the new paradigm of freedom. You're going to learn how to transform fear into courage. I'm also going to tell you about a movie project that I'm working on, super excited about. And I'm going to share with you what I believe is the most important action you can take today and when you go home. Is this something you're interested in? Yes. Excellent. Before I share some of my content, I'd like to acknowledge everyone, but hold the applause, please. This type of event takes so much energy and, of course, money, but effort and heart, and it's very difficult. So I want to acknowledge the organizers, Derek Bros, Dan Aston Gregory, the speakers, the sponsors, and just as important, you, the attendees. Can we give everyone a round of applause for making this thing happen together, please? Thank you. We are on the winning team. I want to remind you of this fact. I have a question for you. Is it ever okay to initiate violence against peaceful people? That's right. That's right. And the animals even know. This is natural law, and this is what they've been trying to suppress for hundreds and thousands of years. Why? Because the rulers are predators, and they want to parasite on our energy, take our time and money, and they've been keeping these ideas suppressed. But they're going down, ladies and gentlemen, and no matter what they do, humanity will transcend. And so I want to share these ideas because when I learned these ideas, some of the things that Nigel mentioned, some of the other speakers, I got liberated, I got free, and I got so excited. So let me ask you this, how many of you guys own your body? That looks like 100% in the room. Everybody online as well. This is one of the most important ideas I've ever heard of. Because we were taught that we have to obey the government and participate in the government. But I don't know about my brothers and sisters here in England, but in the United States, there's a document called the Declaration of Independence. Anybody ever read this one? Anybody not? Great. Here's the essence of it. Where do your rights come from? God. God, source, nature. This is a secret because we were taught in schools. I went to public school. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a second, but our rights come from the politicians. But this is just not the truth. And since we're going to spend a little bit of time together, look for my clock there, is it okay if I tell you a little bit about myself? Yes. Thank you. I'm principal of a private school called Valor Academy. I do early high school graduations, apprenticeships, and homeschool consulting. I published a book by John Taylor Gatto, the world-famous school teacher in New York. The book is titled The Underground History of American Education. And I'm also the co-creator of a movement called the Gatto Movement, which is an acronym for his name, which means get all the thinkers out of forced schooling. I sold my first business at age 26, and I'm working on this movie project right now I'm very excited about. And I love freedom. And so this is what we're doing here together today. Yeah, if you love freedom, let's hear it. Let's get our energy up. Yeah, one of the secrets also is energy, right? These guys are printing money at the Federal Reserve and all these other banks, and we're slaving away trying to trade our time for money, and we forgot something. There's something more powerful than money. Any guesses? What's more powerful than money? Love. Life. We got a rock star right here in the front row. Your life. Your life is the number one thing. Because you own yourself, so you're responsible for your life, and we're out here trading this precious slice of our life called time, and they have us pursuing something that these guys are printing at the printing press. Again, this is something that liberated me, and I want to tell you a quick story because I don't have any children yet, but I do have 2 nephews and a niece that I love, and one day we were at the lake, and we rented a houseboat, and we also rented a jet ski. Do you guys have jet skis out here in England? Awesome. So my 6-year-old niece is sitting in front of me, and we're riding on the jet ski, and there's a boat that goes in front of us, and we catch a little wake, and so we go off a little jump, And she's 6 years old, so she turns around, she's smiling, the hair's in her face in the mist, and she says, "This is the best day of my life." When was the last time you said this is the best day of your life? I invite you to consider today's the best day of your life, yes? Give it up for today. Enjoy your life today. Let's go. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday. It is now. It is present moment consciousness. And this is another secret, right? You're always in school trying to, get a diploma and then get a degree and then get retirement. And you can enjoy your life when you're 65. I don't think so. I think the secret is now. In Santa Cruz, California, I started a group a few years ago called the Santa Cruz Voluntarists, because I was going to a freedom event in Mexico called the Narcopoco, and it's an annual event just like this, and I would come here, get excited for a week, and then I would go home, and I'm like, where's my freedom friends, man? Where's the people that know about self-ownership? Where's the people that know about sovereignty? Oh, they're in Mexico. I got to wait a year. So I would save my money and get ready and go next year. And I said, I got to start something local. So we started this group in 2019, and then wouldn't you know it, in fall of 2019, the great plandemic hit. And so me and my buddies, about 15 of us, got together. We said, hey, guys, I think we're in trouble. This is serious. Because I've been studying the vaccine movement since 2015, because in California, they mandate vaccines at kindergarten and 7th grade. And so I started an organization called the Education Options Expo, which is a YouTube channel. There's a great quote by Buckminster Fuller. He says, "You never change reality by fighting against it. You got to create a new model that makes the old model." See, this idea is rising. This idea is rising. So we got together and we said, what are we going to do? They say 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I just saw a documentary about Cambodia, and for them, this is the Khmer Rouge tyranny over there. They said, you're going to leave your house for 3 days, and then you can come back. They never came back for 5 years. So anytime these predators tell you something, understand they're lying through their teeth. Anyways, back to Santa Cruz. We got together, we said, what are we going to do? Well, free people know our rights come from God, source, nature, so we don't ask permission for freedom, we exercise our freedom. So, exercise our freedom. You guys like that? Come on. So we went down to the beach, and I'm from a small town in Northern California. I love swimming on a hot day. That's one of my great pleasures of life. So we went down, there was like May 2020, and there's a sign. It's like a 12 p.m. on a Saturday. It's 80 degrees at a beach town. Sign closed, beach closed, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're going to close nature? No. So we got together. We're going to exercise our freedom. So about 12 of us got together, and we got the bullhorn, and we went down there on a Saturday, and we said, hey, we now declare the beach open. So 12 of us walk on the beach, and then little stormtroopers come with their little golf cart and their helmets, come over, and they're, hey guys, you can't be on the beach out here. And so we would live stream like this and stay calm, stay honorable and respectful, and we say, is this your beach? No. Who does the beach belong to? The people. Excellent. We're one of the people. It's our beach. This happened multiple times, and one of the times was really powerful because we started doing beach bonfires on Saturday. And wouldn't you know, you're not allowed to be on the beach past 10:30, and you can't have any beers or alcoholic beverages. But we don't ask permission to be free. We exercise our freedom. So they come at about 10:30, and at that time, it was still about June 2020. There was about 15 of us, and we had some beers, and we had a bonfire. And but this group had been educated in self-ownership and personal responsibility and government being illegitimate. And so we're having a bonfire, and they show up, and about 4 sheriffs and the guns and stuff like this, and they say, you guys can't be here doing this. And we all just stayed silent. And they say, oh, who's going to take responsibility for the fire? Who's going to take responsibility for the beers? And all of us just sit there in silence like this, live streaming. And then I could feel the energy shift because they're used to walking up on people who don't know who they are. But our group, the voluntarists, we know exactly who we are, so we just stayed there in silence, and I could feel the energy because he said, oh, all you guys want to get a citation? Give us your ID. Do you think we gave them our identification? We did not. So they left us alone, and then they came back at 2 a.m. It was like 6 of us, and the same thing happened. and we didn't participate, and they left us alone. So that kept happening. We did 70 Saturday bonfires in a row. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we created the energy just like this. This was our meeting. I would do meetings just like this, and we would remind people, hey, this is what we stand for. Personal responsibility, self-ownership, do no harm. I want to mention do no harm because one of your freedom heroes in this country is a gentleman by John Stuart Mill. He is very famous for no harm. So I want to talk about some of the principles as the previous speaker spoke about. This is a moral awakening that's happening. People are starting to understand righteousness and doing what's right. And as MLK said, it's always the right time to do the right thing. So have you ever heard of a guy named Lysander Spooner? Murray Rothbard? Ludwig von Mises? Samuel Conklin III. Okay? These are guys who have written books hundreds of years ago in Lysander Spooner's case. Rothbard 50 years ago. And so when I heard these ideas, I said, what is going on? Where have these ideas been? Well, you know what's happened? They've had a monopoly on the media, the education, and the corporate entertainment for so long, they've tried to put these ideas down. But Lysander Spooner proved in 1870 that the Constitution has no authority. And that was a big blow, because I'm a big patriot from a small town and pledge allegiance to the flag. But it turns out your rights come from God or you, and you don't give them up unless you voluntarily assign them away. So the evolution of freedom, it went from the monarchy, which I know we're in a place with a king. I don't know if you guys like him or not. You guys like the king? Okay, I don't know. Somebody told me they're like celebrities out here, like in Brad Pitt in Hollywood or something. I don't know. I don't want to defecate on your heroes. So a monarchy, the divine right of king, off with his head. And then King John in 1215, Magna Carta said, hey, we're the barons. We have some rights too. So, okay, now you guys have rights. And now we're evolving to voluntarism. I call it voluntary living, the voluntary way. What is the voluntary way? The voluntary way is I only participate in voluntary relationships, and I do not participate in coercive relationships. Yeah. Voluntary way. It is the future. It is the idea that scares the panties off these predators, and they're not going to stop it. The previous speakers talked about the blockchain. I'm not a techno champion yet. I'm learning, but what an idea. You can put something on the record, and they can't delete it. That's pretty exciting, I got to say. You feel the energy? Hey, do me a favor. Look to your neighbor, left or right, and tell him, look at him, smile, say, we can figure this out. We can figure this out. We can figure this out. You know why? Because the human beings have been weaponized. Carl Jung said something great. He said, man is the great danger. We must study him. We know nothing about him. He also said for the first 40 years, we're doing research. So if you're 40, relax. You're just doing research. You got another 40 years here. The United States is the empire of the planet right now. And it's unacceptable and terrible what they're doing upon the planet. And people are saying, yeah, freedom and democracy, Iran, Afghanistan, all these things. Well, how about, you ever heard of something called democide? Anybody heard of democide? Anybody not heard of democide? Excellent. Democide is death by government. It is the largest threat to death in the 20th century. Over 100 million citizens, civilians, people have been killed by their own government. And we never heard about this idea. So now we know that government is organized crime, and anybody that uses coercion doesn't deserve our cooperation. And we learned this not just from these previous people I mentioned, but MLK, even Gandhi. Study these people. These guys realize that nonviolence is more powerful than violence. And even this thing, the camera, this thing is super powerful. So, yes, in America we have guns and ammunition and 3D printed guns as well. Great documentary called Death Athletic, which talks about 3D printed guns, milling your own guns. But who wants to kill somebody as a solution? Come on. Killing somebody, that's not a solution. But not participating with them is. Identifying the predators in our community, that's a solution. Because all of us are all peaceful people, yes? Yes, we only use violence or force to defend ourselves or our children or our loved ones. So if one coercive individual comes in here, some predator comes in here, we will stop him. We will identify him, and we will ostracize him. And so this idea has to do with intentional neighborhoods. You've heard of intentional communities where everybody gets together, puts their money together, and lives on a big piece of land. And, I think some of these places, they work out there. But it turns out humans were kind of funny creatures. We liked privacy, we like solitude, and we do want to get along with each other, but we don't want to be right next to each other all the time. I need to be by myself a little bit, So intentional neighborhood is the concept that we'll be in the same vicinity, maybe 5 or 7 minutes of each other. You got your 5 acres, I got my 5 acres, and everybody's got their independence, so we have this intentional neighborhood. Where did I get this idea? A guy in Kansas, Tag Meyer. He's been doing this for 7 years. He's got like 70 people in his immediate 10-minute radius, and when he had a fire on his homestead, he didn't call the government. He called his mutual aid group. He calls it his MAG. Genius. So they show up on their ATVs with the water pump, spray out the fire. Problem solved. So this whole exit and build philosophy gives us a lot of hope, at least me. You guys love exit and build philosophy? Yes. Yeah. So when we're on the beach in Santa Cruz having these meetings, I call it the Voluntary Solutions Meeting. Because during 2020, 2021, everybody's, hey, Bill Gates and Fauci and all this, predators and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'll give you 30 seconds to talk about your problem, but can we talk about some solutions, please? And then we started talking about exit and build, because Derek was talking about this at the time. I said, thank the Lord, somebody's talking about some solutions, because that's a real solution. I'm tired of begging politicians for my freedoms, begging them for my rights. I like the idea of, let's conduct voluntary relationships. I'm not going to harm you. You're not going to harm me. If someone does, we'll have a mediator and resolve the problem. We don't need this, these predators out here telling us what to do with our life. Yes? Yes. Good. Some people talk about the Great Awakening. I think that's true, but it's just a little bit too vague for me. I read a book called Conscious Language by Bob Tennyson Stevens, so I'm learning to be more specific and clear in my language. So I think the awakening is actually the great self-ownership awakening. I asked you about self-ownership because that idea was so liberating, and then more people are lost in the dark. They don't know who owns their body. You guys do because you're visionary, pioneers, people know what's happening, but a lot of people, you ask that question and they're like, I don't know. Santa Cruz, we did 40 weeks of free hugs as well. So for 1 hour a week, because after a few months of sharing information, letting them know about the vaccines and all the stuff, we're like, man, people, they don't really respond to logic. They're not really interested in the facts. So 1 hour a week, we had signs, and we had a band come with us and our friends, and it said free hugs, and it was really powerful because as a man, I don't know about the other men in the house, I didn't learn much about love growing up in my house. My father's Mexican, my mom's, white, and so Mexicans and men in general, we don't express our love. So when I would go see my cousins or like grandparents and stuff, they would say, I love you, and I would kind of feel weird saying, I love you back, because all I knew of love was romance or intimate relationships. But it turns out there's many types of love. The Greek had 8 types of love. There's family love, friendly love, self-love, and there's something called agape love. Agape is love of humanity. I just love being human. I just love you guys because you're my brothers and sisters in the same species, maybe individuations of the divine presence. Yeah, you're with me. Is that all right? So now I like to express love to people. And I don't want to regret my life saying I didn't express my love. So I say to all the people I feel affection with, because this is the day. And I mentioned my 6-year-old niece, this is the best day of my life. And I started becoming present because of birthdays and holidays and celebrations. And I'm like, how come I only get to celebrate my life one day a year, my birthday? So I think every day is my birthday. I wake up and say, thank you, God, for this life. Thank you, God, for this body. I'm grateful to be alive today, and try to express this joy. So anyways, we're giving out free hugs on the beach, free signs, and some people come out, you guys are giving out free hugs in a pandemic? Yeah, we're in a public area, and it's voluntary. And so he was a young guy, bless him, and I said, can I ask you a question? Yes. I said, who's responsible for your health? And he says, well, the government and me. I said, no, man. And another lady comes up, same thing. It's really dangerous what you guys are doing out here. I said, ma'am, can I ask you a question? I said, are you really afraid of a virus? She says, yeah. I says, maybe you should stay home. Just an idea. So I ask them about their personal responsibility. They don't even know. So this is why I'm taking a step back to realize, oh, we got to get back to personal responsibility. They don't even know this is your own hand. They think some guy in a building over there is responsible for their own health and wellness and livelihood. I'm like, we're in deep trouble. But I have good news also. Freedom always wins. Tyrants know that because you can't go against nature forever. Eventually, the people rise up, the energy rises up, and we find solutions, and we exit and build, and we make them obsolete. And that's what's happening right now. This is the most exciting time to be alive in human history because I know these guys are going down. I was raised thinking that the American dream was money. And I found out it's not even American, and it's not even money. It's the human dream, and the human dream is freedom. And we will have that, and we can have it now. Yes, they got to siphon our money and use terror and all these things to psychologically enslave us, but the good thing is the root word of government is gubernare mente, control of the mind. So what if they no longer control our minds? Are we enslaved or not? No. Bob Marley was right 40 years ago. Only you can emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And so there's 3 steps I want to share with you right now. It's called liberate, celebrate, and create. We must liberate ourselves from the idea that anybody has any authority over you at all unless you voluntarily consent. Then you celebrate that fact. You celebrate that fact that you are free now. Yes, they use terror to get our taxes. Yes, they use terror to take our kids away, whatever it is. But no, they are organized criminals. And you didn't consent to that. So you can see, yeah, let's go. Their mind control is that we have a righteous authority over you and you never consented. And you say, that feels a little bit off. And it is off. It's actually anti-truth. It's the biggest lie we can ever understand. So we celebrate we're free. Tonight we're going to have an amazing concert. I'm so excited for Double Effects, Presence, 33, Vegan, maybe Elias Clay. And so we're going to celebrate tonight. And those of you that aren't here, I hope you come next time or come to the concert, wherever you are. But we must celebrate this fact that we are alive. And that we are free. And they are with each other now. In language, I also heard some stuff today and yesterday and for years, and it's really become apparent to me that the powers that exist, they're not elite. They are actually predator psychopaths who have lost their soul. So I don't call them elite. You know who I call elite? The people who practice compassion and patience and agape love and personal responsibility and morality and righteousness and all the good things. So we got to be more accurate in our language because that's part of the scam. Part of the scam is your vote matters in this election or with my purchases, with my attention, with my energy, with my words, because I believe voting is important, but I vote with my money. I vote with my energy, with my actions. And so they think, yes, because it's like a half-truth, right? You know, your vote matters. It does, but is writing my name or someone's name on a piece of paper, put it in a box, is that how we're going to be free? Or, like the Declaration of Independence, you write it on a piece of paper, you send it to the authorities, and you say, hey, we now declare we're free. We're not asking for permission. This is a permissionless right. And that's what some of the blockchain technology is about. It's very exciting. So in the school system, just so you know, the purpose of the government monopoly compulsory school system is to create obedient clerks, consumers, and soldiers. And that's by the research of John Taylor Gatto, Charlotte Iserbyt, Anthony Sutton. There's a lot of resources out there I invite you to go take a look at. But one of the secrets of the system is that they teach us to become your own jailer, your own prisoner guard. So that way, when you're out in your life and you want to do something that doesn't harm anybody, you still have the government or the people in your head say, you can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that, I don't know what to do. Can I get permission to go to the bathroom? All right? So it's like, no, we got to break free of all that. Actually, you know who the real kings and queens are? It's you. You know who the real heroes are? Do me a favor, let's do an affirmation right now. Please put your hand on your heart. Say, I'm the hero. I'm responsible. I'm an action taker. I'm the solution maker. I'm a visionary. I got this. Turn to your neighbor, give him a high five, and say, we got this. We got this. These are just some of my daily affirmations, guys. Yeah, because language shapes our consciousness. When I interviewed Stevens, we were having basically a live workshop conversation on there, and there's a great quote that says, I'm not anti-war, but if you have a pro-peace rally, I'll be the first one there. Say, that sounds kind of picky, that sounds, you're being a little bit, too detailed-oriented. Well, if I'm against war, what am I invoking in my language? War. If I'm pro-peace, what am I invoking in my language? Peace. That's what I stand for. I stand for peace. So in that, I created the language for myself so that I can be more expressive and courageous about it. So now, instead of using the non-aggression principle, which is true, and the self-defense principle, which is true, I put them below the higher one, which is respect for self-ownership. That is where I say, you own yourself, I own myself. We agree, yes? So the next principle is respect for self-ownership. So I respect yourself to do whatever you want as long as you don't harm anybody. So that way we stand for something. We stand for respecting the self-ownership of everyone else. Now I want to let the people know, I want to make a call for the greater marketers on the planet. Dana White, Grant Cardone, Myron Golden, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Patrick Bet-David, Sean Ryan, and many more. These ideas of voluntary relationships will continue, and it is inevitable. I invite you to join us on this expression and creation of it all, because we want to be free. And we want to protect the children. And some of you guys are still stuck in the left-right paradigm. You still think that Trump's going to save you or whatever it is, or the next guy. And so this evolution is the process of humanity being free. This idea of intentional neighborhoods, I think, is the future as well, where we have contracts with each other, we have agreements with each other, and it's kind of silly, but I think we're going to have actually individual contracts with our friends and family and say, hey, I promise not to use violence upon you. Do you promise not to use violence upon me? Yes, if we break that contract, I'll give you $1 million and you give $1 million. And then we're going to have like a network, and we'll say, how many contracts do you have? How many peace contracts do you have? Well, I got 500. Cool, I got 200. I got 20. Oh, you're almost there, man. Come on, you'll get there. And that way we have this agreement, some express agreement that we're not going to cause harm against people, because we've heard it for decades and generations. I'm just doing my job. Doing your job is not an excuse to initiate violence against peaceful people. And my invitation to all the people watching, people online or seeing this, if your job requires you to harm peaceful people, you got to quit. You must have something more than money. Yeah. And I want to share some. I got a few minutes left. Politics is downstream of culture. And we change culture with comedy, music, and film. And I'm working on this movie project I'm very excited about. If the project is queued up, we can set it up. Yeah, let's take a look here and then we'll wrap up. Do you want to help make an anti-woke movie that attacks liberal hypocrisies? Are you tired of Hollywood's left-wing propaganda? Yes? So are we. That's why we're taking a stand.
In our world, conformity is the norm, but with the power of story, we can dare to break free. We're making a modern-day Romeo and Juliet film, where instead of the two being separated by their families, they're separated by their political ideologies. Woke liberals versus freedom-minded conservatives.
The name of the movie is Sacred Life. It is a heart-pounding thriller that reimagines the classic Romeo and Juliet tale for our times. While most of these crowd-funded projects are made by amateurs, our director is the real deal.
Renee Perez.
He's made 39 commercially released movies for distributors such as Sony and Universal Pictures, and for vendors like iTunes, Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon. Unlike other crowd-funded films, this won't be an amateur production. This will be a commercial grade made by a professional with 20 years of experience. And here's a few clips from his previous movies.
This isn't just another movie, it's a bold statement about individual liberty and the power of voluntary association.
Featuring an anti-woke agenda, Sacred Life follows our hero as he navigates a government that has gained almost total control of the population.
We will introduce the concept of voluntary living, where individuals create intentional neighborhoods based on consent, mutual aid, and objective morality.
In an era of government tyranny and population reduction, a group of freedom seekers forged their own path.
We're not just making a movie, we're starting a movement for the future of humanity and freedom.
Watch as our characters build a thriving life outside of the corporate system, demonstrating real solutions like voluntary relationships, free markets, and growing food. It's an emerging concept that will be fully explained in the movie. But when love blossoms between two people from opposing worldviews, a conflict erupts.
Our talented cast and crew are ready to go. We just need your help to help us reach our goal of $350,000. In exchange, you will get some amazing perks for helping us produce this film.
Can our hero protect his community and his love while standing up against government overreach?
The fight's upon us, and I'm no soldier, but I do have the world's most powerful weapon, a camera, and I know how to use it. So who's with me?
This is your chance to be a part of something transformational. With your support, we can bring Sacred Life to screens everywhere.
Welcome to Sacred Life, where liberty meets love and individuals change the world.
Join us in reimagining what's possible for the human family.
We pitched the idea to some investors and they couldn't see the vision, so now we're going to the people. So we are taking interviews and podcasts. If you want to get us on your show, this guy, Renee Perez, is a really great dude. He's made over 30 movies. In the last 6 or 7 years, many of them were anti-woke, calling out crazy ideas like pro-strong male, pro-strong families, protecting the women and the children versus the woke mandates in Hollywood, which are against all these things, right? Which is going against nature. So he's been blacklisted in Hollywood, so we're like, hey, we're going to go directly to the people. I believe in the power of the people. If we find 3,000 people to give us $100, we'll make this film. So we're really putting it up to you guys if you guys have some interest in that. But this is how we change culture. You know, we're taking a crack at it, and this is how we're going to change the world, I believe. So it's going to be one song at a time, one movie at a time, one event at a time, and we just keep chopping away at this tree of tyranny until this thing crashes, until governments no longer have any mental legitimacy in the minds of people saying, yeah, that guy's legit. No, every time you see a government do something that you didn't consent to, that is organized crime, and that's illegitimate, and these ideas are not going to be suppressed any longer. I want to share a story that really inspired me. It's a true story from about 5 years ago. Did you guys hear about the Thai soccer team that got stuck in a cave? They made a movie about it. It's called 13 Lives, and I watched it, and it's about this group of, it was 12 like 12-year-olds with a coach who's like 20 years old. They were playing soccer, and they decided to go in the caves in Thailand. They didn't realize it was the beginning of the monsoon season, so they went in there, and they got about 2.5 miles or 4 kilometers into the cave, and all the rains came, and they got stuck in the cave. So after they missed the birthday party and maybe a day passed, they started calling around, and then they went to the cave and they saw the 13 bikes right there out the cave, and they realized these guys were trapped in there. Long story short, international world community came around, and they saved these guys by sending divers into the cave, swimming for miles, and then they figured out, how are we going to get the kids out? Because these guys, it's like a small little tube to get them out of the cave. They ended up putting some anesthetics in them to make them like asleep, pass out for like 2 hours as they pulled them out. They rescued all the 13 kids out of this cave. And there were some deaths from the volunteers, but when humanity is committed to rescuing children, when they're committed to being heroes and doing what's right, they do it. And so the block in people's mind is this idea of government legitimacy. It is not legitimate. So this is the phrase, this is the conversation that I think will continue for the next year, for the next decade, hopefully for 2 decades and 2 generations or more, so that never again will we submit ourselves and our energy and our time to governments that we don't even consent to. This idea is going away. So I just want to share that story because I was like, man, if they can do that for 13 million kids, can't we do that for 600 million kids that are stuck in the school system? Can't we do that for some of the people that are still in slavery now, in places in Africa and other places around the world? Yes, we can. We can do that. We just got to focus and put our energy to that. Check my time here. We're running out of time. All right. I'm going to give you one joke and then wrap up here. I started doing stand-up comedy about a year ago because I'm like, how are we going to get these ideas out to the world, man? Like, logic don't work. So I started doing this, and I've been producing a couple comedy shows. So some people say, they're afraid of the NWO. Not me. I'm afraid of the NWP, the negative, whiny people. You tell someone a goal or dream, they're like, that's not going to do, it's not going to happen. It's like, dude, stay away from me, man. I want to get over here, okay? So put yourself around positive people. Put yourself who believe in you. And if it's not your family, your friends, then you got to exit and find new ones. Because I've been experiencing this too. You share a dream with somebody, you're excited about it, you give them a hope and a goal, and they're just like, going down. And, we're sensitive, right? We're dealing with trauma and our own emotions and all these things. We need empowerment. So please consider doing that. And people also, during the plandemic, they're like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. It's very courageous out there. I got arrested multiple times. I've been to jail. One time, I got arrested at a post office for not wearing a mask. And there's a sign on the wall that says, masks are recommended. So I went in there, and the lady says, we're not going to serve you without a mask. Well, they ended up arresting me for trespassing in the post office. I sued them in federal court. They dismissed the federal case, and they said, no, the post office is private property, they had probable cause, and the police officers have qualified immunity. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's not the way to save the world. But what I want to say is that they say, well, appreciate your courage. I said, you know what I had more fear of is not going to jail, but of looking in my kids' eyes and telling them I was afraid to stand up for what was right. So this intergenerational idea, intergenerational freedom is the idea, the transfer of the idea of truth, of self-ownership gets transferred to the next generation. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor. Please check me out at davidjamesrodriguez.com, sacredlifemovie.com as well. And please continue the event. We'll see you at the concert. Peace and love upon you. We'll see you again. Thank you so much.
This is a solutions event. This is what's happening.
After 5 successful events in North America, the Freedom Cell Network is partnering with Free Humanity to bring the People's Reset to Bath, UK. In 2020, as the World Economic Forum announced the Great Reset Initiative, millions of people around the world began questioning the narratives being fed to them.
You must stay at home. Millions of free-thinking people responded with protests, marches and rallies focused on waking up the rest of the world to the dark agenda of control and technocracy hidden beneath the so-called health initiatives.
We need to know every single piece of information.
We've lived that freedom message today, and we've been a walking symbol of what it means to be free.
While the world was reacting to the rapid expansion of tyranny, the Freedom Cell Network sought to promote solutions by launching the Greater Reset Activation in January 2021, a 5-day gathering designed to inspire, motivate, and activate freedom lovers into action. The Greater Reset highlighted the importance of localization, decentralization, individual and collective liberty, bodily autonomy, and freedom of choice.
The technocrats at the United Nations and the World Economic Forum are now hosting the Summit of the Future in New York City in September 2024.
At that meeting, governments of the world are expected to sign the so-called Pact for the Future. We reject their vision and the assumption that they speak for humanity. Join us in September for the People's Reset UK, our summit for our future.
Over 3 days, we will gather in community, celebrating our victories and successes, whilst continuing to highlight solutions under 5 holistic themes.
Liberate your mind, body, and spirit.
Permaculture and food independence.
Building parallel networks.
Empowering technology.
And building free and conscious communities. 24 top-notch speakers, including Neil Oliver, Charles Dowding, Dan Aston Gregory, Nigel Howlett, John and Rebecca Bush, and many more.
We'll also be hosting the People's Reset concert featuring international artist DubFX, as well as Presence, 33, and more talented performers to come. Join us in Bath in September 2024 as we collaborate and build the parallel systems of the future.
Join us for the next evolution of the Greater Reset.
Join us for the People's Reset UK. Visit thegreaterreset.org to learn more and to get your ticket today.